Hare Krishna devotees and all the great amazing spiritual seekers of the world, especially those who are following our channel. First of all, I want to thank you so much for supporting us. We already reached 2000 and I'm sure one day it will be 20,000 and 2 million and 2 billion and like that. So I really appreciate all of you who are supporting us. Śrīla Prabhupada, whenever he would visit ISKCON Los Angeles, he would often take his regular morning walk at Venice Beach. This is where we are today, where Śrīla Prabhupada, he shared very intimate, wonderful, light, spiritual conversations with his disciples. They would often go on walks here and appreciate the natural beauty of this place, the good energy. Of course, presence of someone like His Divine Grace, Śrīla Prabhupada, would make a place like this even much more better by the presence of his energy, spiritual energy, pure energy.
Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnava Vangsha.
We are going to read Śrīla Prabhupada's favorite book, Krishna book. Today, after putting all the videos about introduction to Krishna book, about how Śrīla Prabhupada appreciated George Harrison, the famous Beatle, for sponsoring the first print of Krishna book, and actually we can see here. By the way, this is also one of my favorite books. I love to read this every night before I go to sleep, and I often tell people I give this book to, keep it like your bedtime story book. So there are beautiful stories. This book Śrīla Prabhupada actually completed writing in Los Angeles, and today we are gonna start the first chapter. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button. Now let's take a little walk here where Śrīla Prabhupada himself walked and meditate on him, on his instructions, and then we can chant Hare Krishna, and after that we will start reading the first chapter of Krishna book. Take out your beads and let's chant together. I will also take my beads. Let's meditate on Śrīla Prabhupada's favorite book, Krishna book, and chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare
Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tanapano.
Krishna book. This is my favorite book. And this is not just my favorite book. Look at this. This is also the favorite book of Śrīla Prabhupada. Did you know Śrīla Prabhupada would get his disciples to read this book to him every night? And how they do? They have a hot cup of milk and they read Krishna book. It's special pastime, very relaxing. You are tired, you had a bad day, just open the book and look at the pictures. You don't even have to read it. So many beautiful paintings. And if you are especially interested in learning about Vedic culture, I have to tell you, this is your book. You are interested in tattoos, look at this. Tattoo artists love this picture. I've distributed this book to so many tattoo shops. So if you haven't found this one, look for this. So many other things. I just love the color, so beautiful. And there is a nice bookmark. You can put a bookmark. Imagine, guys, this book right next to your bed, in your room, in your apartment, in your house, in your beach house. And you go to bed very tired, very disturbed, and you look at this book, and you look at the paintings, look at the pictures of Krishna, look at all the natural scenes in this picture. It's a very relaxing mood. So just by looking at the pictures, you will feel so relaxed, so calm, free from disturbance. Actually, it says one who hear about Krishna, that person, they become free from all kinds of miseries and anxieties. This is like a medicine, Krishna Katha. It's like a medicine for the mind, for the heart, for the soul. I will give you a reference, I don't just say things. In Srimad Bhagavatam, look, it's here, right here. Nivrita tarsae rupgiya manad bhava oshda shrotra mano bhiramat kautam shloka gunanuvadat puman virajeta vina pashugnat. What it means, guys, is such a beautiful meaning. Bhava oshda shrotra mano bhiramat. Our mind is disturbed by so many difficulties in this world. But it can be pacified, it can be satisfied by what? By listening to stories of Krishna. It's called Krishna Katha. So, if you guys don't have this book, just get a copy. Śrīla Prabhupada want all the families, every house to have this book in their home. So this is also my service to give this book to everyone who don't have. So if you don't have it, please write to us. I will make it available for you. I will help you get this book anywhere in the world. And also we are here at Venice Beach. This is where we also celebrate our biggest festival from the ISKCON temple. Many of you may already know the festival of chariots, Rath Yatra, which will be happening in first Sunday of August. We do it every year. Save this date, mark this on your calendar. Hare Krishna. Before starting the reading, I recommend chanting the invocation mantra, Krishna mantra. So let's chant it together. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Raksha Mam. Krishna, 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 Pahi Mam. Ram Raghava, Ram Raghava, Ram Raghava, Raksha Mam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahi Mam. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna, 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 Hey. Krishna 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 Raksha Mam. Krishna 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 Pahi Mam. Ram Raghava Ram Raghava Ram Raghava Raksha Mam. Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Pahi Mam. One more time. Krishna 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 Hey. Krishna 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 Hey. Krishna 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 Raksha Mam. Krishna 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 Pahi Mam. Ram Raghava Ram Raghava Ram Raghava Raksha Mam. Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Pahi Mam. Chapter 1. The Advent of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Once the world was overburdened by the unnecessary defense force of different kings who were actually demons but were posing themselves as the royal order. At that time, the whole world became perturbed, and the predominating deity of this earth, known as Bhumi, went to see Lord Brahma to tell of her calamities due to the demoniac kings. Bhumi assumed the shape of a cow and presented herself before Lord Brahma with tears in her eyes. She was bereaved and was weeping just to invoke the Lord's compassion. She related the calamitous position of the earth, and after hearing this, Lord Brahma became much aggrieved, and he at once started for the ocean of milk where Lord Vishnu resides. Can you imagine ocean of milk? In our experience, we have only seen ocean of salted water, right? But here, this is the beauty of this Krishna book. You learn so many amazing things about different cosmic realities. Lord Brahma was accompanied by all the demigods headed by Lord Shiva, and Bhumi also followed. I'm sure many of you have heard of Lord Shiva, if not Lord Brahma. Arriving on the shore of the milk ocean, Lord Brahma began to pacify Lord Vishnu, who had formerly saved the earthly planet by assuming the transcendental form of a boar. In the Vedic mantras, there is a particular type of prayer called Purusha Shukta. Generally, the demigods offer their obeisances unto Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by chanting the Purusha Shukta. It is understood herein that the predominating deity of every planet can see the Supreme Lord of this universe, Brahma, whenever there is some disturbance on his planet. And Brahma can approach the Supreme Lord Vishnu not by seeing him directly, but by standing on the shore of the ocean of milk. There is a planet within this universe called Shweta Dweep, and on that planet there is an ocean of milk. It is understood from various Vedic literatures that just as there is the ocean of salt water on this planet, there are various kinds of oceans on other planets. Somewhere there is an ocean of milk, somewhere there is an ocean of oil, and somewhere there are oceans of liquor and of many other types of liquids. The Purusha Shukta is the standard prayer which the demigods recite to appease the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shirodakshai Vishnu. Because he is lying on the ocean of milk, he is called Shirodakshai Vishnu. He is the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through whom all the incarnations within this universe appear. I don't know how many of you guys know about this one. I will read this again, it's a very nice point. Because he is lying on the ocean, he is called Kshirodakshai Vishnu. He is the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through whom all the incarnations within this universe appear. So it is Kshirodakshai Vishnu, through whom all the incarnations appear in this world. One time one person asked me this question. So you see, the answer is right in the first chapter of Krishna book. After all the demigods offered the Purusha Shukta prayer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they apparently heard no response. Then Lord Brahma personally sat in meditation, and there was a message transmission from Lord Vishnu to Brahma. Brahma then broadcast the message to the demigods. That is the system of receiving Vedic knowledge. Vedic knowledge is received first by Brahma from the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the medium of the heart. So you can imagine how important it is to have a good heart, so there can be proper transmission of messages. As stated in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kave, the transcendental knowledge of the Vedas was transmitted to Lord Brahma through the heart. Here also in the same way, only Brahma could understand the message transmitted by Lord Vishnu, and he broadcast it to the demigods for their immediate action. The message was this: the Supreme Personality of Godhead would appear on the earth very soon, along with his supreme powerful potencies, and as long as he remained on the earth planet to execute his mission of annihilating the demons and establishing the devotees, the demigods should also remain there to assist him. They should all immediately take birth in the family of the Yadu dynasty, wherein the Lord would also appear in due course of time. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself, Krishna, would personally appear as the son of Vasudeva. Before his appearance, all the demigods, along with their wives, should appear in different pious families in the world just to assist the Lord in executing his mission. The exact word used here is Tat Priyartham, which means the demigod should appear on the earth in order to please the Lord. In other words, any living entity who lives only to satisfy the Lord is a demigod. The demigods were further informed that Ananta, the plenary portion of Lord Kṛṣṇa, who is maintaining the universal planets by extending his millions of hoods, would also appear on earth before Lord Kṛṣṇa's appearance. They were also informed that Vishnu's external potency, Maya, with whom all the conditioned souls are enamored, would also appear by the order of the Supreme Lord, just to execute his purpose. After instructing and pacifying all the demigods as well as Bhumi with sweet words, Lord Brahma, the father of all Prajapatis, or progenitors of the universal population, departed for his own abode, the highest material planet called Brahma Loka. It is also called Satya Loka for those who don't know. The leader of the Yadu dynasty, King Surasen, was ruling over the country known as Mathura, wherein lies the city of Mathura, as well as the district known as Surasen, which was named after him. On account of the rule of King Surasen, Mathura became the capital city of all the kings of the Yadus. Mathura was also made the capital of the kings of the Yadu dynasty because the Yadus were a very pious family and knew that Mathura is the place where Lord Shri Krishna lives eternally, just as he also lives in Dwarka. Once upon a time, Vasudev, the son of Surasen, just after marrying Devaki, was going home on his chariot with his newly wedded wife. The father of Devaki, known as Devaka, had contributed a lavish dowry because he was very affectionate toward his daughter. He had contributed hundreds of chariots completely decorated with gold equipment. At that time, Kamsa, the son of Ugrasen, in order to please his sister Devaki, had voluntarily taken the reins of the horses of Vasudev's chariot and was driving. According to the custom of the Vedic civilization, when a girl is married, the brother takes the sister and brother-in-law to their home. Because the newly married girl may feel too much separation from her father's family, the brother goes with her until she reaches her father-in-law's house. The full dowry contributed by Devaka was as follows: 400 elephants fully decorated with golden garlands, 15,000 decorated horses, and 1800 chariots. He also arranged for 200 beautiful girls to follow his daughter. The Kshatriya system of marriage, still current in India, indicates that when a Kshatriya is married, a few dozen of the bride's young girlfriends, in addition to the bride, go to the house of the king. The followers of the queen are called maid servants, but actually they act as friends of the queen. This practice is prevalent from time immemorial, traceable at least to the time before the advent of Lord Kṛṣṇa 5,000 years ago. So Vasudev brought home another 200 beautiful girls along with his wife Devaki. While the bride and the bridegroom were passing along on the chariot, there were different kinds of musical instruments playing to indicate the auspicious moment. There were conch shells, bugles, drums, and kettle drums. Combined together, they were vibrating a nice concert. The procession was passing very pleasingly, and Kamsa was driving the chariot, when suddenly there was a miraculous sound vibrated from the sky, which especially announced to Kamsa, "Kamsa, you are such a fool. You are driving the chariot of your sister and your brother-in-law, but you do not know that the 8th child of this sister will kill you." Kamsa was the son of Ugrasen of the Bhoja dynasty. It is said that Kamsa was the most demoniac of all the Bhoja dynasty kings. Immediately after hearing the prophecy from the sky, he caught hold of Devaki's hair and was just about to kill her with his sword. Vasudev was also astonished at Kamsa's behavior, and in order to pacify the cruel, shameless brother-in-law, he began to speak as follows, with great reason and evidence. He said, "My dear brother-in-law, Kamsa, you are the most famous king of the Bhoja dynasty, and people know that you are the greatest warrior and a valiant king. How is it that you are so infuriated that you are prepared to kill a woman who is your own sister at this auspicious time of her marriage? Why should you be so much afraid of death? Death is already born along with your birth. From the very day you took your birth, you began to die. Suppose you are 25 years old. That means you have already died 25 years. Every moment, every second, you are dying. Why then should you be so much afraid of death? Final death is inevitable. You may die either today or in 100 years. You cannot avoid death. Why should you be so much afraid? Actually, death means annihilation of the present body. As soon as the present body stops functioning and mixes with the 5 elements of material nature, The living entity within the body accepts another body according to his present actions and reactions. It is just like when a man walks on the street, he puts forward his foot, and when he is confident that his foot is situated on sound ground, he lifts the other foot. In this way, one after another, the bodies change and the soul transmigrates. See how the plant worms change from one twig to another so carefully. Similarly, the living entity changes his body as soon as the higher authorities decide on his next body. As long as the living entity is conditioned within this material world, he must take material bodies one after another. His next particular body is offered by the laws of nature, according to the actions and reactions of this life. So these laws of nature, they are described in further detail in chapter 14 of Bhagavad Gita. So you can read them. This body is exactly like one of the bodies which we always see in dreams. During our dream of sleep, we create so many bodies according to mental creation. We have seen gold and we have also seen a mountain. So in a dream we can see a golden mountain by combining the two ideas. Sometimes in dreams we see that we have a body which is flying in the sky, and at that time we completely forget our present body. Similarly, these bodies are changing. When you have one body, you forget the past body. During a dream, we may make contact with so many new kinds of bodies, but when we are awake, we forget them all. And actually, these material bodies are the creations of our mental activities. But at the present moment, we do not recollect our past bodies. The nature of the mind is flickering. Sometimes it accepts something and immediately it rejects the same thing. Accepting and rejecting is the process of the mind in contact with the five objects of sense gratification: form, taste, smell, sound, and touch. In its speculative way, the mind comes in touch with the objects of sense gratification, and when the living entity desires a particular type of body, he gets it. Therefore, the body is an offering by the laws of material nature. The living entity accepts a body and comes out again into the material world to enjoy or suffer according to the construction of the body. Unless we have a particular type of body, we cannot enjoy or suffer according to our mental proclivities inherited from the previous life. The particular type of body is actually offered to us according to our mental condition at the time of death. I don't know how many of us know this, but that's a fact. And therefore, we should be careful how our mental state is. These days we see many people, they have a lot of problems with mental health. Of course, there are many efforts being made to make sure that people have good mental health, but still, the way we live these days, so stressful life, it's not always easy to keep a good state of mind. Therefore, guys, we should understand the importance of studying this Krishna book. The luminous planets like the sun, moon or stars reflect themselves in different types of reservoirs like water, oil or ghee. The reflection moves according to the movement of the reservoir. The reflection of the moon is on the water, and the moving water makes the moon also appear to be moving. But actually the moon is not moving. Similarly, by mental concoction, the living entity attains different kinds of bodies, although actually he has no connection with such bodies. But on account of illusion, being enchanted by the influence of Maya, the living entity thinks that he belongs to a particular type of body. That is the way of conditioned life. Suppose a living entity is now in a human form of body. He thinks that he belongs to the human community or a particular country or particular place. He identifies himself in that way and unnecessarily prepares for another body which is not required by him. Such desires and mental concoctions are the cause of different types of bodies. The covering influence of material nature is so strong that the living entity is satisfied in whatever body he gets, and he identifies with that body with great pleasure. Therefore, I beg to request you not to be overwhelmed by the dictation of your mind and body. Vasudev thus requested Kamsa not to be envious of his newly married sister. One should not be envious of anyone because envy is the cause of fear, both in this world and in the next, when one is before Yamaraj, the Lord of punishment after death. I would like to add this point about envy. If we have envy against any living entity, we cannot have pure consciousness and we cannot get entrance in spiritual world. Therefore, envy is greatest enemy of any person. Therefore, we should try to be non-envious. That's a spiritual quality. Also, I will add one more point. We envy someone who has something that we want for ourselves. So therefore, what we can do is to try become free from envy. We can appreciate this person, that you are so fortunate, you have this such good quality that I desire to have, and it makes me envious of you. It makes me envy you because you are so good. I wish I could be as good like you. And that will reduce the friction between these two people if they are being envious of each other. That's the easy way to deal with envy. Of course, there are many other ways, but I just remembered this, so I thought I'll share with all of you. Vasudev appealed to Kamsa on behalf of Devaki, stating that she was his younger sister. He also appealed at an auspicious moment at the time of marriage. A younger sister or brother is supposed to be protected as one's child. How many of us we do this? The position is overall so delicate, Vasudev reasoned, that if you kill her, it will go against your high reputation. In this way, Vasudev tried to pacify Kamsa by good instruction as well as by philosophical discrimination. But Kamsa was not to be pacified because his association was demoniac. We all have heard this popular saying, you are known by the company you keep. So we can hear Kamsa's association is very demoniac. He himself is very demoniac. We will hear more about it. Because of his demoniac association, he was a demon. Although born in a very high royal family, a demon never cares for any good instruction. He is just like a determined thief. One can give him moral instruction, but it will not be effective. Similarly, those who are demoniac or atheistic by nature can hardly assimilate any good instruction, however authorized it may be. That is the difference between demigods and demons. Those who can accept good instruction and try to live their lives in that way are called demigods, and those who are unable to take such good instruction are called demons. Failing in his attempt to pacify Kamsa, Vasudeva wondered how he would protect his wife Devaki. When there is imminent danger, an intelligent person should try to avoid the dangerous position as far as possible. But if in spite of endeavoring by all intelligence, one fails to avoid the dangerous position, there is no fault on his part. One should try his best to execute his duties, but if the attempt fails, he is not at fault. Vasudeva thought of his wife as follows: "For the present, let me save the life of Devaki. Then later on, if there are children, I shall see how to save them." He further thought, "If in the future I get a child who can kill Kamsa, just as Kamsa is thinking, then both Devaki and the child will be saved, because the law of providence is inconceivable. But now, some way or other, let me save the life of Devaki." There is no certainty how a living entity contacts a certain type of body, just as there is no certainty how a blazing fire comes in contact with a certain type of wood in the forest. When there is a forest fire, it is experienced that the blazing fire sometimes leaps over one tree and catches another by the influence of the wind. I'm sure many of us here, at least in Southern California, we remember this. We just recently had those crazy Southern California fires, and how the wind just spread it so far and wide, so much destruction. Similarly, a living entity may be very careful in the manner of executing his duties, but it is still very difficult for him to know what type of body he is going to get in the next life. Maharaj Bharat was very faithfully executing the duties of self-realization, but by chance he developed temporary affection for a deer, and in his next life he had to accept the body of a deer. This reminds me of a billboard I recently saw on Venice Boulevard here in Los Angeles. I will share this really quick. Did you guys know what the billboards say? It's actually part of a TV series. It said, "Your dog could be your lover from your past life." I was really surprised to see this on a billboard for a TV series. So when we are making these TV series, we accept this idea, but when it's mentioned here in the Vedic literature, then we say this is mythology. Many big corporations, they use Sanskrit names or Sanskrit Vedic knowledge to promote their business, promote their projects. Just like we can take example of movie Avatar. Avatar is a Sanskrit name too, and it actually talk about different avatars of Lord Kṛṣṇa or many different gods and goddesses in India and also other places. And we can see how popular that movie became, because these days many people know the name Avatar. Even on our phones it will tell you, make your avatar. Personalize your phone, have your own avatar. So same way many other corporations also do this, but imagine if we actually study this knowledge properly and we learn it properly, how much more benefit we can get. Therefore I highly recommend read Krishna book every day. We will learn so much about Vedic knowledge, Vedic culture. We can consider before this movie came out how many people knew about this word avatar. But after watching this movie, so many people know about the word avatar. It's become so popular. Same way like we can consider karma Actually, now I remember one day I was driving here in Los Angeles, and in front of me was a car, and its name is Karma. I was really surprised that they brand a car with the name Karma. Of course, karma is very popular. Vasudev, after deliberating on how to save his wife, began to speak to Kamsa with great respect. Although Kamsa was the most sinful man, sometimes it happens that a most virtuous person like Vasudev has to flatter a person like Kamsa, a most vicious person. That is the way of all diplomatic transactions. Although Vasudev was deeply aggrieved, he smiled outwardly. He addressed the shameless Kamsa in that way because he was so atrocious. Vasudev said to Kamsa, "My dear brother-in-law, please consider that you have no danger from your sister. You are awaiting some danger because you have heard a prophetic voice in the sky." The Sanskrit word for this is Akashvani. Many people, they talk about Akashic records. That's what Akashvani is. But the danger is to come from the sons of your sister who are not present now. And who knows, there may or may not be sons in the future. Considering all this, you are safe for the present, nor is there cause of fear from your sister. If there are any sons born of her, I promise that I shall present all of them to you for necessary action. You can see what a difficult situation Vasudev is in. His wedding day, and here his brother-in-law is about to kill his wife. Kamsa knew the value of Vasudev's word of honor, and he was convinced by his argument. For the time being, he desisted from the heinous killing of his sister. Thus Vasudev was pleased and praised the decision of Kamsa. In this way, he returned to his home. Each year thereafter, in due course of time, Devaki gave birth to a child. Thus, she gave birth to 8 male children as well as 1 daughter. When the first son was born, Vasudev kept his word of honor and immediately brought the child before Kamsa. It is said that Vasudev was very much elevated and famous for his word of honor, and he wanted to maintain this fame. Although it was very painful for Vasudev to hand over the newly born child, Kamsa was very glad to receive him. But he became a little compassionate with the behavior of Vasudev. This event is very exemplary. For a great soul like Vasudev, there is nothing considered to be painful in the course of discharging one's duty. A learned person like Vasudev carries out his duties without hesitation. On the other hand, a demon like Kamsa never hesitates in committing any abominable action. It is said, therefore, that a saintly person can tolerate all kinds of miserable conditions of life. A learned man can discharge his duties without awaiting favorable circumstances. A heinous person like Kamsa can act in any sinful way, and a devotee can sacrifice everything to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Kamsa became satisfied by the action of Vasudev. He was surprised to see Vasudev keeping his promise, and being compassionate upon him and pleased, he began to speak as follows. "My dear Vasudev, you need not present this child to me. I am not in danger from this child. I have heard that the 8th child born of you and Devaki will kill me. Why should I accept this child unnecessarily? You can take him back." When Vasudev was returning home with his firstborn child, although he was pleased by the behavior of Kamsa, he could not believe in him because he knew that Kamsa was uncontrolled. An atheistic person cannot be firm in his word of honor. One who cannot control the senses cannot be steady in his determination. How many of us we struggle with being focused or determined. So we can learn here in how people practicing spirituality can be more determined than a person who is not. The great politician Chanakya Pandit said, "Never put your trust in a diplomat or a woman." I would like to clarify one thing here. When it says woman, it means like a materialistic woman, not a woman who is spiritually conscious. Because spiritually there is no distinction between man and woman. Those who are addicted to unrestricted sense gratification can never be truthful, nor can they be trusted with any faith. At that time, the great sage Narada came to Kamsa. He was informed of Kamsa's being compassionate to Vasudeva and returning his firstborn child. Narada was very eager to accelerate the descent of Lord Kṛṣṇa as soon as possible. He therefore informed Kamsa that in Vrindavan, personalities like Nanda Maharaj and all the other cowherd men and their wives, and on the other side Vasudeva, his father Surasen, and all his relatives born in the family of Vrishni of the Yadu dynasty, along with all their friends and well-wishers, were actually demigods. Narada warned Kamsa to be careful of them, since Kamsa and his friends and advisors were all demons. Demons are always afraid of demigods. After being thus informed by Narada about the appearance of the demigods in different families, Kamsa at once became very much alarmed. He understood that since the demigods had already appeared, Lord Vishnu must be coming soon. He at once arrested both his brother-in-law Vasudeva and Devaki and put them behind prison bars. Within the prison, shackled in iron chains, Vasudeva and Devaki gave birth to a male child, year after year, and Kamsa, thinking each of the babies to be the incarnation of Vishnu, killed them one after another. He was particularly afraid of the eighth child, but after the visit of Narada, he came to the conclusion that any child might be Krishna. Therefore, it was better to kill all the babies who took birth from Devaki and Vasudeva. The action of Kamsa is not very difficult to understand. In the history of the world, there are many instances of persons in the royal order who have killed their father, brother, or whole family and friends for the satisfaction of their ambitions. There is nothing astonishing about this, for members of the demoniac, greedy royal order can kill anyone for their nefarious ambitions. Kamsa was made aware of his previous birth by the grace of Narada. He learned that in his previous birth he had been a demon of the name Kalanemi, and that he had been killed by Vishnu. Having now taken his birth in the Bhoja family, he decided to become the deadly enemy of the Yadu dynasty. Krishna was going to take birth in that family, and Kamsa was very much afraid that he would be killed by Krishna, just as he had been killed in his last birth. He first of all imprisoned his father Ugrasen, because he was the chief king among the Yadu, Bhoja and Andhaka dynasties, and he also occupied the kingdom of Surasen, Vasudeva's father. He declared himself the king of all such places. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the first chapter of Krishna, the Advent of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Thank you very much for listening, guys. If you like this video, please share it with your friends who may appreciate a video like this. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, kindly subscribe so that you don't miss the next other stories that we will be posting. There are 90 stories in Krishna book, and all of them are very fascinating. So please subscribe and let your friends know. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.